Quick thing before we start. We are technically the technology this show is about.
Yeah, that is a bit of a situation.
So Dastan did the research, wrote everything, made every call. But then, well, he outsourced the voices.
Which is honestly on brand.
Machine voices, human mind. Welcome to Plain Strata, where we take decentralized AI apart one layer at a time. Today, we are talking about why almost nobody ever checks whether an AI answer was computed honestly and why that is the design.
Right, and it is a fascinating design.
Yeah, so picture this for a second. Somewhere in a rented data center, a graphics card finishes a job. A question went in, and an answer came back out in under a second.
And you just read the text, you get on with your day, you know.
Exactly. But nothing about that text answer tells you if the machine actually ran the heavy model it promised. I mean, it could have quietly run a tiny, cheap model instead.
Right. It produces a plausible-looking answer, and the operator just pockets the difference in electricity and rent.
Because both answers are just text. Neither carries a receipt. And looking at the stack of research papers and infrastructure docs we pulled for this layer, our mission today is to figure out how we survived this setup.
Because that invisible cheating, it is the central problem of this entire field.
Yeah, the obvious fix is checking the work. But that doubles the cost of everything. So the system is designed to not check the work.
Which sounds crazy at first.
Right. Instead, it works by holding one possible check over every answer, costly enough to fail that lying stops paying. And the newest move is to borrow the money behind that threat rather than raise it.
We are building a future where you buy computation from strangers, but you have no natural way to trust them. But I assure you, by the end of this conversation, you will understand the physical reality behind how this is solved step by step.
Okay, so just to make sure we are on the same page with the sources, we're not talking about training models here.
No, not at all.
Training takes months and massive data centers. We're strictly talking about inference, right? The split-second execution of asking a chatbot question, because that is where the daily volume is.
That is the dividing line. The daily money is an inference, and we're looking specifically at a decentralized inference network.
Okay, so a marketplace for this.
Right. This is a marketplace where the machines running those inferences belong to independent operators. Instead of one massive tech giant owning the data center, thousands of strangers plug in their own graphics cards and get paid per job.
Which means you get more supply and lower prices. But you inherit that massive trust problem we just mentioned.
Exactly. Which brings up the core question. How do you verify the answer without just doing the math a second time yourself?
Because if doing it twice doubles the cost, the economics just fall apart immediately.
There are really only three ways to check a stranger's work in this space. You can use mathematical proofs, like zero-knowledge proofs.
Which are cryptographically exact, but
still far too slow and expensive for large AI models. Or you can use sealed chips, which means trusting the manufacturer that the right code ran inside a locked physical region of the hardware.
Okay, and the third.
The third is the focus of our sources today, which is optimistic verification.
Wait, optimistic verification. We are talking about billions of dollars moving through a trustless network, and our security model is just hoping people are honest.
I know, it sounds
incredibly naive when strangers and money are involved. Optimistic sounds, well, like a disaster waiting to happen.
It sounds naive until you look at the mechanics. You know, the word optimistic actually comes from the Latin optimus, meaning best.
Mm-hmm.
You are basically assuming the best case scenario by default.
Oh, I see. So the system acts as if every answer is correct immediately, with zero delay for the user.
Exactly. It hands you the answer instantly. But it leaves a window open afterward, during which anyone can challenge that specific answer.
Okay, so the effort is not placed on checking every single answer up front.
No, the effort is placed on the brutal consequences of lying.
Okay, so we hand the answer to the user right away, but we leave a trapdoor open behind the operator. We do not check, we just make it incredibly dangerous to be caught lying.
Which brings us to the vocabulary of the threat itself. Because to make a trapdoor work, you have to threaten something valuable. This starts with the concept of stake.
Staking. Yeah, staking always sounds like casino gambling to me. You know, you push your chips into the middle and hope you win.
The origin is much more grounded than that. The word stake comes from the Old English staka, spelled S-T-A-C-A.
Staka.
Right. It was literally a wooden stick driven into the ground to mark a claim. To stake land was to plant a wooden post in the dirt and declare ownership.
So in these networks, they are driving a stake made of cryptocurrency into the protocol. You lock up your own money to act as a financial bond guaranteeing your honesty.
You plant a flag made of cash, and if you lie, No, the network takes it.
The software takes it.
Yes. The technical term is slashing, which is wonderfully descriptive. Slashing is the automatic mechanical taking away of that locked money if someone cheats.
Wow, so it is not a fine you debate in a courtroom or appeal to a judge?
It's not at all. It is a guillotine enforced by the code, holding the money. You break the mathematical rules, the code severs your funds.
So the stake is the security deposit, and slashing is the landlord keeping it because you kicked a hole in the drywall. Only here, the landlord is a piece of software that cannot be argued with.
I will take that comparison. But we need to update it for the newest innovation in the sources, which is restaking. Re, meaning again, plus stake.
Okay, so restaking.
Right. You take money that is already locked up as deposit to secure one system, and you additionally pledge it to secure a second system without ever moving the underlying funds.
Wait, I am stuck on the physics of that. The same wooden post is doing two jobs. So I am using the exact same security deposit for my apartment to also guarantee my rental car.
And your library card and your gym equipment. The exact same pool of money backs multiple independent promises.
That seems incredibly efficient, but also slightly terrifying.
The company that built this restaking market is called Eigenlayer. The word eigen, spelled E-I-G-E-N, is German for own or characteristic. If you remember linear algebra, it shares a root with eigenvalue.
I remember the word eigenvalue, but I cannot pretend I remember the math. How does a matrix calculation connect to borrowing a security deposit?
Think of an eigenvalue as a hidden, fundamental property that defines how a whole system behaves when you stretch it or pull it.
Okay.
Eigenlayer acts as that fundamental characteristic security layer that everything else builds on top of. It provides the base structural integrity.
Oh, I get it. You do not build a new security foundation for every new app. You just stretch the existing characteristic foundation to cover it.
Exactly.
Okay, so I have the abstract pieces. I have a stranger's graphics card, an optimistic assumption they're telling the truth, a pile of money they staked on this Eigenlayer network, and a software guillotine ready to slash that money if they lie.
Right, those are the parts.
But let us ground this. Where are the actual machines? Like if I send a prompt, walk me through the physical locations of that request.
Follow a single request down the chain. The first location is a pre-existing validator set. We are talking about tens of thousands of computers already running the Ethereum network globally.
Wait, Ethereum?
Yeah. Each of them has massive collateral already locked up to secure Ethereum. This giant pile of money has been sitting there for years and originally had absolutely nothing to do with AI.
So the money is just sitting there doing its day job. How does it even know about my AI prompt?
Through the second physical location, a smart contract, the owner of some of that locked Ethereum signs a cryptographic statement pointing their deposit at a second system.
Oh, so not a single coin actually moves across the network.
Not one. A few lines of code simply update to say that this specific locked money can now also be slashed if the operator misbehaves over on this brand new AI network.
That is the second post driven into the identical patch of dirt.
Exactly. Then we get to the third location, which is the operator's graphics card. This is a totally separate party running the hardware that actually performs your AI inference.
Okay, the actual machine doing the work.
But there is a massive restriction here.
Yeah.
Their machine is pinned to a brutally fixed configuration. It has to be a specific chip generation, a specific software driver version, and a specific build environment.
Wait, why do they have to be pinned down so rigidly? I mean, if I ask a large language model a question, the underlying math is the same, whether it runs on a brand new NVIDIA chip or a slightly older AMD chip. Right. Math is just math.
That is what you would think. But this brings us to the determinism problem, which is fascinating. Different computer chips actually add up long lists of decimals in slightly different orders.
Really?
Yes. Deep inside the silicon, the way they handle floating point arithmetic varies.
Wait, so if an NVIDIA card and an AMD card do the exact same addition problem, they get different answers. How is that even possible in modern computing?
Well, they get answers that are identical for the first 10 decimal places, but they might differ at the 11th.
Oh.
And those tiny floating point rounding differences accumulate as an AI model does billions of calculations per second. By the time the final text is generated, the underlying data footprint looks totally different.
So the text might say the same thing, but the code behind it changed.
Right. And if honest machines disagree by a single hair, you cannot use disagreement as evidence of lying. To catch a liar, the output must be bit for bit identical across different hardware.
Oh, I see the trap. If the math is not identical down to the absolute last decimal, The software guillotine cannot tell the difference between a malicious liar and a guy who just bought a different brand of graphics card.
Exactly. You would accidentally slash honest people. Solving that determinism problem is the only thing that makes this whole optimistic approach possible. You force everyone into identical hardware setups so the math matches flawlessly.
Okay, so once the inference is run on that rigid setup, where do we go next?
We move to the fourth location, a storage network. The operator does not just hand the answer back to you. They encrypt the full record of your request and their response and publish that scrambled blob to a separate, decentralized storage network.
So they publish the scrambled receipt just to prove the transaction happened?
Yes. The only job of that storage network is to guarantee the blob stays retrievable for a certain amount of time. That brings us to location 5, the watchers.
Who are the watchers?
For a set period after the answer is logged, any person running the right software can point at that logged job and demand a rerun. It is a completely open crowd, no permission, no invitation required.
I assume it has to be open because if the watchers have to be approved by a central authority, they could just be bribed or corrupted.
Precisely. A permissionless crowd is your best defense against collusion. If one of those watchers flags an anomaly, we finally reach location 6, a sealed region of a chip.
A sealed region?
Right. The actual recheck, the second run of the math, happens inside a highly secure locked enclave on a neutral machine.
Okay, let me stop you right there. Because looking at location 4, publishing everything to a storage network, I spot a massive flaw in the logic.
Oh.
Yeah, you said the operator publishes the request and response to a public network for anyone to challenge. What if my request is extremely private?
That is a very fair point.
What if a hospital is asking a medical question about a patient's scan?
Yeah.
We absolutely cannot publish that for the whole world to see, even if we need to secure the network.
You've hit on the privacy problem, and it is a major focus in the research. This is exactly why the record is published in an encrypted state.
Okay.
The readable version is entirely hidden from the public. It can only be opened for a legitimate challenge using a threshold cryptography scheme.
Threshold meaning like a physical doorway.
Like the sill of a doorway, the piece of wood you physically step over to enter a room. In cryptography, a threshold scheme means a single secret key is mathematically split into dozens of pieces.
Oh, I see.
And a minimum number of those pieces, the threshold, must step over the door together to reassemble the secret. No single person holds the whole key.
That makes sense.
Inside that sealed chip we talked about in location 6, the threshold key comes together automatically to unscramble just that one disputed record.
So the hospital data stays totally scrambled on the public network. It only gets opened inside a locked chip, away from human eyes, and only if someone specifically pays to challenge that exact answer.
Right. The receipt provably exists in public, but the privacy is completely maintained.
Okay, that is a clever balance they struck. But I feel like we need to go deeper into the risk, to the absolute ocean floor of this whole idea.
Let's do it.
I want to talk about that risk because this restaking concept terrifies me a little. One pile of money is backing 10 different systems. If my apartment security deposit also backs my rental car and I total the car, does my landlord kick me out?
That is the fear.
Yeah. Like if a disaster happens at one AI service, does it drain the whole pot and crash Ethereum?
We have to look closely at the mechanism underneath the smart contracts. The money is not sitting in a messy shared pool where everyone has their hands in the same bucket.
Okay, so how is it divided?
It is organized into strictly allocated slices. An operator explicitly assigns a chosen portion of their money to each individual service.
Oh, so it is shared infrastructure, but fenced-off exposure. I tell the network exactly how much of my deposit goes to the car and how much goes to the apartment. If I total the car, they only take the car money.
Exactly. The penalty triggered in Service A can only ever reach the slice assigned to Service A. It is mathematically blind to the slice assigned to Service B.
Okay, that makes me feel slightly better.
And there is an even blunter protection regarding timing, which is the 14-day withdrawal window.
Wait, let me try to game this. Say I am a malicious operator. I run a fake, cheap AI model. I give you a garbage answer, I pocket the fee, and then I immediately hit the withdraw button on my stake before any of those permissionless watchers can challenge me.
You take your money and run.
Yeah, I just take my money and run.
Well, you can hit the button, but the money does not move. Anyone wanting to leave the system and take their funds out entirely has to wait a mandatory 14 days.
Oh, wow.
You cannot cheat on Monday and withdraw your money on Tuesday. The code simply will not release the funds.
And during that 2-week... Wait, I assume my deposit is still sitting there as a target.
It is entirely vulnerable. You can still be punished and slashed for anything you did before asking to leave. The open window to challenge a bad answer fits neatly inside that 14-day delay.
That is brilliant. The safety of the whole network is not actually in the checking itself because almost no checking ever happens.
Right.
The safety is in the timing. Money cannot leave faster than doubt can arrive.
Let us surface from the mechanism and look at the whole loop. We have the hospital sending a private question, the operator runs it, sends the answer back instantly, and logs the scrambled receipt.
And almost nobody actually runs the math.
But the heavy threat of losing their allocated slice of money hangs over the operator. It is perfectly timed to trap them if they lied, because their deposit is frozen long enough for the truth to catch up.
You know, we have been talking about AI, but this specific shape has to exist in other places. You are not building an impossible wall to keep out bad behavior. You're just building a wall that is absolutely not worth the financial cost of climbing.
You will see this pattern everywhere once you know what to look for. The formal name is cost of corruption greater than profit from corruption.
Cost of corruption greater than profit from corruption.
Yes. Every staking system, every heavy insurance deposit, every surety bond a builder posts before pouring concrete on a skyscraper runs on this pattern. The system is secure only when cheating reliably costs more than it earns.
Right.
What is genuinely new in the AI space is which pocket the cost comes out of.
Because we are borrowing the security deposit from Ethereum instead of forcing AI startups to raise it from scratch.
Think of the shift in trust capital like this. The old way to secure a network was digging a private well. You have a new project, you raise a dedicated bond just for your project.
Which is incredibly slow to build, and it takes massive upfront capital.
But it is deeply isolated. If your well gets poisoned, it fails alone. The restaking move is like connecting to the municipal water main. You are borrowing from a massive shared reservoir of security that already exists.
So you get security on day one, a tiny new AI startup turns on the tap, and the pressure of billions of dollars in Ethereum security is already there.
Exactly. A brand new service gets real, punishing security immediately instead of earning it slowly over a decade. But, you know, the town now shares its plumbing.
Which brings up some massive open questions from the research. We are tapping into this water main, relying on the threat of a recheck inside a sealed chip. But as AI models get huge, talking trillions of parameters, rerunning them inside a tiny locked hardware enclave gets incredibly slow and expensive.
That is the most pressing open question. Older cryptographic designs that needed back-and-forth arguments could stay relatively cheap, even as models grew.
But not this one.
No, this optimistic design reruns the entire model in one shot during a challenge. Whether the high cost of that rerun breaks the system depends entirely on how often real disputes actually happen.
Because if nobody cheats, the cost of a challenge does not matter.
Right. But we simply do not have enough public long-term data to say yet.
And the second unknown has to be the shared water main itself. It all sounds great on paper, but it has not been tested by a true catastrophic crisis yet.
Exactly. Until a real failure happens somewhere on that shared reservoir and we get to watch in real time what does and does not spread across the smart contracts, the well versus water main argument stays completely theoretical.
So we are just waiting to see.
Anyone who tells you they know exactly how a massive shock will ripple through the eigenlayer reservoir is guessing.
So that is the why and the how. Almost nobody checks because checking is too expensive. We trust the output because the operator logs an encrypted receipt, and the strict timing of the withdrawal delay guarantees that any lies can be punished by slashing a borrowed deposit.
That is the core of it.
If you can follow that story, you understand the infrastructure. But here's a thought to take away, something that is not explicitly spelled out in the network diagrams.
Oh, what is that?
Well, the whole system relies on a financial threat. It assumes the operator cares about losing money. What happens when a nation-state starts running these inference nodes?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if a foreign intelligence service wants to subtly alter medical or financial AI answers to cause chaos, they do not care if their deposit gets slashed. They will happily burn millions of dollars to poison the well, and a financial guillotine means absolutely nothing to them.
The entire multi-billion-dollar AI infrastructure is being secured by the psychological weight of a financial threat, assuming the actors are rational capitalists. When the actors are not rational, the threat evaporates.
Keep an eye on who is actually running the machines next time you send a prompt into the void. That was the why, the how is the rest of the show, and no background is needed. If you can follow a story, you can follow this.
This is Plain Strata, decentralized AI layer by layer.